Very, very important words for those who could be tempted to intervene from outside. Whoever tries to hinder us, and even more so to create threats to our country, to our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate, and it will lead you to such consequences that you have never encountered in your history. We are ready for any development of events. All the necessary decisions have been made in this regard. I hope that I will be heard.
The world is moving fast towards change, moving towards a reset that will change the world forever. We are in a period of time that is calling for massive change, but it seems that unless you are awake, you are not able to see it coming. It is absolutely alarming to me the amount of people that I see that are just asleep and unaware, going about their normal lives oblivious to what is coming to this world that will affect them in ways they have not imagined. It seems very much like the agendas have shifted. They are moving away from the agenda around the pandemic, now that a large percentage of the world population has received their solution. So they now seem to have given the green light for moving towards their agenda of change. If you listen to the news and all the propaganda, they aren't even really hiding it. They continuously talk about change.
There will be enormous consequences if he were to go in and invade, as he could, the entire country, or a lot less than that as well, for Russia, not only in terms of economic consequences and political consequences, but it will be enormous consequences worldwide. This would be the largest, if he were to move in with all those forces, it would be the largest invasion since World War II. It would change the world.
I continuously have heard the same statements over and over, that if Russia invades Ukraine, that it will change the world forever. You see, change is upon this world. But unfortunately, it seems that the masses will not be ready for it until it affects them directly. And then at that time, they won't have enough time to react in a way that will limit their exposure to it. They will be forced to transition in any way that the agenda was planned for them, depending on where they are in this world. I covered this topic very early on this channel, but the video unfortunately was censored and removed. But seeing what is happening at this present time, it needs to be covered and addressed. The world is moving towards a new world order. This is a complete shift in the way the world was once led. This is a topic that was once a word that was so toxic to people. When you would bring it up, people often got mad with you, called you a conspiracy theorist, called you crazy, wrote you off, etc., etc. People did not want to hear about this topic. But now, because it is referred to in a slightly different way, people are now embracing it. The events that are transpiring right now are all leading towards a great reset that will bring in a new world order. And if you do not understand what this agenda is all about, it is truly time that you gain more understanding. World leaders, business leaders, religious leaders, social leaders have all spoken about working towards this goal of a new world order. The news right now is telling us that Putin is trying to change the world order. So if there was anything that you really made sure you understood, it should be to understand exactly what this world order that will be changed and new exactly is. We are going to discuss what a new world order is and what it will mean for you and the world. Let's begin. Okay, so from once an unfounded conspiracy theory that held no merit, to now a goal that a world leader like Putin is being said to try to establish. I mean, look at this article from CNBC in April 2020. Putin seeking to create new world order with rogue states amid coronavirus crisis, report claims. I mean, they used to call people that try to expose these things conspiracy theorists, while at the same time, mainstream news continues to plug it into our minds so that they keep mentally preparing us for their agenda. And now, after the agenda of the pandemic is softening, they clearly are ready for the next leg. It is really crazy how these things change so fast. What I mean by that is, the people that were once mocked and looked at as crazy conspiracy theorists are now starting to look a little more valid. And the hilarious thing is that these puppet masters know this. So what are they doing? They are now working towards fixing it. I mean, this week I have heard consistent promotion on CNN about a special report they're doing on Sunday night about the controlled opposition's ringleader puppet, Alex Jones. In the early 2000s, they propped up this man to control the narrative and how far people went in understanding this coming New World Order. You see, he is the face of the conspiracy theorists. And so in order to invalidate others like myself and many more, they don't have to attack us individually. They just have to use the face of the movement to attack the mindset and everyone who seems to think close to what Alex Jones has said.
First tonight, our report on the incendiary radio host, Alex Jones. For years, Jones has been spreading conspiracy theories, claiming, for instance, that elements of the U.S. government allowed the 9/11 attacks to happen, and that the horrific Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax. Some thought we shouldn't broadcast this interview because his baseless allegations aren't just offensive, they're dangerous.
Listen, it's no coincidence that they are making this special report at a time like now when we are clearly moving towards this New World Order. As the events that are transpiring at this current time continue to escalate, we will continue to move towards this agenda. One important thing to understand when reviewing these world events is to make sure you do not believe the narrative that the news media is giving you. Countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, and a majority of the Western European nations in the European Union, they're not looking to go to war over one country's freedom. If you believe this, you need to wake up. You can't stop the lies, but you can at least stop your mind from believing them. This is not about one country's freedom. This is not about Ukraine's freedom. This is about creating a scapegoat for the collapse of the financial system. This is all about the dollar. That's why all the threats have been first about sanctions, how they describe them as the mother of all sanctions. It's possible that before I've even finished this video, that they have moved forward in pushing the sanctions and kicking Russia out of the SWIFT financial system that will have enormous consequences for the world. You must understand that the timing of all this is no coincidence. There is no coincidence that at the same time they are provoking war, they are talking about doing 7 rate hikes here in the United States. Here in the United States, we have not gone through this type of rapid rate hikes since 2005. But the financial news channels are comparing it to the late 70s, early 80s, when rates went from 4% to 20%. Anyways, the Fed is talking about raising rates, which causes the borrowing cost for everyone to increase. And being that there is more debt than ever before in this world, it is not a good thing for the world to start paying higher interest rates on higher amounts of debt. The consequences of exorbitant spending, money printing, and higher amounts of debt have to be realized. Do you remember when they were giving out all that free stimulus money? People in the malls buying Gucci shoes with the government stimmy checks? There are consequences of all this. But the leaders in the world do not want to be placed in the seat of blame for their easy-to-foresee economic consequences. I mean, with all this inflation happening, Biden has not once said that it is even possible that inflation is about all the stimulus money and the printing him, Trump, and Obama gave out over the last 12 years. No, of course not. He is talking about supply chains and COVID.
Look, as you know, Ken, the inflation has everything to do with the supply chain.
And now they're saying it will all be about Russia, and that's why inflation is happening. There's just way too much to say to get you to understand this. I've been talking about the problem with the dollar and our world financial system for years. So if you need more understanding, go back and watch those videos. And as you go through the years, just understand that after each of those videos, the governments of the world didn't try to slow down the problem of debt and money printing, but they in fact accelerated it. So now we are at a time when obvious economic change is upon us. Because of all the money printing, inflation is moving fast, which actually means that the value of the dollars you used yesterday is worth less today. So now, in order to combat inflation, the Fed needs to raise rates on the exorbitant debt. There is an absolute economic problem underway. They cannot just raise rates on the trillions of dollars they have printed. It's going to cost way more for the United States to service that debt. The United States can't even handle the debt it has right now. That's why we keep going through this debt ceiling increase problems. Let me help you understand it from a different way. Do you know what the debt was in the United States in the 1980s when they raised rates to 20%? In the year 1980, when Paul Volcker, who was the former chair of the Federal Reserve, When he raised the Fed's fund rate to 20%, the United States national debt was $908 billion. That's with a B. 25 years later, in 2005, the last time we were in a real rising rate environment, the United States debt was $7 trillion. That's with a T. So since 1980 to 2005, in 25 years, the debt was raised by $6 trillion. So because the debt was higher, they didn't raise as dramatically as Volcker did. But now in 2022, more than 15 years later, with rates at 0% for over a decade, with a couple years of slightly raising, the United States national debt is over $30 trillion. And that is just the federal debt. If you remember, like I said, in 2005, it was $7 trillion. So in about 17 years, the debt was raised over $23 trillion. This is unsustainable. But when we're talking about debt, we're not even just talking about the United States federal debt. That doesn't include the state's debt, all the corporate debt, and consumer debt. There's just too much debt in this world. But in regards to the national debt, there's $30 trillion of debt, and they want to raise rates. And what Trump said 5 years ago during his debate with Hillary Clinton still stands.
And believe me, we're in a bubble right now. And the only thing that looks good is the stock market. But if you raise interest rates even a little bit, that's going to come crashing down. We are in a big, fat, ugly bubble. And we better be awfully careful.
Yeah. So I say all of that to show that because we're in a period where economic change is coming in fast and hard, they need a scapegoat to blame for the history books. They have to control the narrative so they can steer the minds of the people where they would like them to be led. So this conflict with Russia is being pushed in order for them to create a proper scapegoat. In the West, they are making Putin the enemy as if he yields this tremendous power. But that's completely ridiculous. These men, including Putin, are Freemasons, and they are working towards their religious goal of creating a new world order. Yes, I said religious goal, but I will get into that in a few. They are all just playing the roles they have been given in order to control the narrative for the mind-controlled public who's being steered into this coming world change. The world is moving towards a specific goal and agenda. So, what is a new world order? Let's cover that before I get accused of clickbait. In regards to a new world order, there is a secular agenda, and then there is a religious agenda. We will cover the secular first that will lead to the religious agenda. So let me first say what the secular agenda is not. It's not about moving another country into the driver's seat of the world. It's not about moving one country out of leadership so another country can be the leader. Like for instance, it's not about Russia or China looking to be the new leader of the world order, though this is clearly how the news is framing it. But no, that is not what the agenda is about. So understanding the secular agenda, we need to understand what the current world order is. I mean, you can't have a new world order without having something to replace. So what is the current world order? The current world order is run by the United States. This is confirmed by the article in the Wall Street Journal that was just put out on February 22nd of this year. The headline reads, Putin address takes swipe at U.S.-led world order. Very clear. The United States is the world power and control of the world order. They have been the ones that have set the terms for all the countries in the world. They have established the most military bases in the world. Their currency, the United States dollar, is known as King Dollar all around the world. It is the currency of choice for most people in the world. If you go internationally, they often prefer the United States dollar compared to their own currency. The United States leadership is the current world order. So it's obvious that in this coming new world order, the United States will no longer be in that leadership role. It would not be new if it was still the same.
We knew that despite all the diplomacy and the handshaking and the rhetoric, that to build a really better world sometimes means having to tear the old one down.
You see, the new world order that will be established will come after the Great Reset of all things. Klaus Schwab executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, wrote a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. And in this book, he went over all of the factors of society that will be reset. There is an economic reset, a societal reset, a geopolitical reset, an environmental reset, and a technological reset. Now, I did make a video specifically about this subject, which I suggest you watch if you would like to understand the Great Reset in greater detail. But understand, they do not hide nor shield their intentions. They just put it in books that a mind-controlled, distracted public does not read. Let me just take an excerpt from that book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, on page 72 in regards to the fate of the United States dollar. Listen to this. To a considerable extent, American power and prosperity have been built and reinforced by the global trust in the dollar and the willingness of customers abroad to hold it, most often in the form of United States government bonds. For quite some time, some analysts and policymakers have been considering a possible and progressive end to the dominance of the dollar. This argument suggests that something major will therefore have to change, either through a much reduced geopolitical role or a higher taxation, or both. After all, the status of reserve currency cannot last longer than foreign confidence in the ability of the holder to honor its payments. The United States must maintain an economy that inspires global credibility and confidence. Failure to do so will, over time, put the US dollar's position in peril. I mean, you can't get clearer than this. I show you this for you to understand that they all understand this. This is not something beyond world leaders. Look, this is Joe Biden before his presidency attending one of Klaus Schwab's presentations. I mean, this is the chairman of the World Economic Forum who wrote all of this. They all understand what the fate of the dollar is. They're just not explaining it to the general public. So anyways, the point is that the world order will be changing and reset. In regards to the economic reset, they do not wish the world to work under multiple currencies, dependent and controlled by each nation. The world wants a world currency that prices everything in the world at the same value, regardless of where you are. There will be a one world currency. That's the economic reset. In regards to a societal reset, they want to move the whole world to a complete socialistic style of government where there's only the rich and the poor. And in order to stop injustices and inequalities, our lives will be completely censored and controlled. In regards to the geopolitical reset, this nationalism that places one country's needs above the rest of the world will not be tolerated any longer. The mindset of the world will be the world's best interest over one particular nation. And in order to facilitate this, they will be moving to a one world government. The world will be run from a United Nations government, which is why we have seen the promotion of being global citizens. Now, in regards to the environmental reset, you'll see the world will be run less about profits and earnings and more about the climate. The rich will be rich. It will be less about profits and more about climate change. Everything will be tied to environmental sustainability. And in regards to a technological reset, the world will be moved into the metaverse, where most of the world will transact and live out their daily lives. This is how things will be reset and form what we will see as a new world order. But again, that is the secular view. This is what the world is moving directly towards after economic collapse, world conflicts, and nuclear war. How I see things transpiring is a ping pong match that will lead to major escalation, most likely nuclear war. As Russia continues to move, it will give the West the justification to go against them. When the West kicks Russia out of SWIFT, then Russia will respond in their own way and go after the dollar. You see, there's no need for Russia to try to preserve the dollar if they can't use it. And being that it's the source of the United States' strength, they will attack it. I expect next week, when Joe Biden gives his State of the Union, I expect him to speak on American superiority and how much we've come back since the pandemic. I expect him to make a case that we've been doing well, and it's really only because of Russia that things are getting so bad right now. Again, like I said, they need a scapegoat. But after the case has been made about how much we've come back, he will prepare us for conflict. Now, it sounds as if after the West gives the sanctions and takes Russia out of SWIFT, Russia will most likely respond through cyber attacks, which the United States media has been alluding to. I expect a problem with our banking system or energy systems or both. And this will then lead to military escalation.
From our power grids to our communication lines to banking systems, U.S. cyber officials fear a digital assault could bring the front lines of the war to America's front door.
When you hear about cyber attacks on the banking system, translate this to being about the dollar. This is the narrative and scapegoat for the collapse of the dollar system. And don't forget, there's also a threat from China. I would look for them to make a move on Taiwan while the United States is said to be focused on Russia. All of this that we're seeing will lead to a destruction of the current world order. Now, this is my speculation based on their narratives, and things could play out very differently. But it is for certain that this current world order is changing. The narrative and storyline is completely set up for it. But that is not the main agenda of the New World Order. Those are just the major spokes on the wheel that will create the conditions for the true goal behind the New World Order. Remember, like I said, there's a secular agenda, but the most important agenda of the New World Order is religious. The real agenda behind a New World Order is much more darker than a shift in business, economics, and government. Even though none of what I mentioned earlier is minor, it's just not the main agenda. What a New World Order truly is transitioning the world from being under the Judeo-Christian world order to a satanic Luciferian world order. Its ultimate goal is moving the world from under the rule of the Most High, Yahuwah, to Satan being worshipped as God. One of the biggest conspiracies you have in the Bible is found in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 and 14. In reference to Lucifer, it says, "For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." You see, Lucifer wants to be like the Most High. And this world agenda is about creating the conditions for him to be able to do so. He wants to place himself in priority over our Father in heaven. He wants to be who we refer to as the Most High. And though he knows he will not win, he is working in men through deception to achieve this goal. This is the main point of this conflict. The world is basically a playground for Satan to move the hearts of men away from the Most High and prove that the world likes his way more. And there is a complete agenda that Satan is walking us through in order to achieve this goal. He doesn't have the same power that Yahuwah, our Creator, has, so he has to move in darkness and deception in order to gather enough power to imitate the power of Yah. He's not omniscient, which is having complete or unlimited knowledge, awareness, or understanding, perceiving all things. No, Yah is. He's not omnipotent, which is having unlimited power, being able to do anything. Yah is. And he's not omnipresent in all places at all times, but Yah is. So what Satan is doing is creating a world that he can imitate those qualities in his own false way. And understanding that will allow you to understand much of the structures you see being built in this world while they are trying to track and monitor us all, to know what we are even thinking, and to be able to see everything happening everywhere, holding all the power of how the world works. I mean, it's real deep. But the main conflict is that Lucifer wants to be like the Most High. And we are in the middle of this conflict because our Father has not forced us to comply to him and has given us the power of choice. And so when I refer to the religious goals of men like Putin, I was speaking towards the religion of Freemasonry. This is another important subject you must understand, but I've spoken about it in depth in part 70 of my History of Religion series. This may surprise people because for the majority, Freemasonry is looked at as just an organization. To many people, it's known as a secret society, but it is in fact a religion. In that video that I referenced, I prove and explain this more in depth. What you need to understand is that the goal of the religion of Freemasonry is to spread the light of Freemasonry to the world. So what is the light of Freemasonry? In order to understand that, you must understand who their God is. In Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, he explains this on page 321. When discussing the 19th degree, they reveal who their God is. The apocalypse is, to those who receive the 19th degree, the apotheosis of that sublime faith which aspires to God alone and despises all the pomp and works of Lucifer. Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. It is he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable blinds feeble, sensual, or selfish souls. Doubt it not, for traditions are full of divine revelations and inspirations, and inspiration is not of one age nor of one creed. Plato and Philo also were inspired. You see, Lucifer is their god. Lucifer means light bearer. They are spreading his light to the world. The ultimate conspiracy is going back to Lucifer's whole goal of being like the Most High and ascending to his heights. They believe that the true God of the Bible, Yahuwah, they believe that he is evil, and their mission is to remove his influence from this world. They have been tasked with turning darkness into light, turning evil to good. And the Bible has prepared us for this and told us this is exactly what Satan will do. The Apostle Paul warned us in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 14 and 15. It says, "And no wonder, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works." But because people don't read and study their Bibles, they don't recognize this. You know, there's a song by John Legend who speaks of what will come when this New World Order comes. He speaks on what he has done, and it just surprises me just how many people ignore what he is saying. He is talking about being killed when it's over, so he doesn't want to think about it. That he did all that he could to turn darkness to light. He turned evil to good. And this is the song that is played as a love song and something great, when this man is literally talking about what will happen to him when this agenda comes. I mean, it's the craziest thing. And he's talking about who's going to love you when I'm gone. I mean, you really can't make this up. But I truly ask myself what other people are hearing. But he is just a small example of what these people have been doing for years. They're turning darkness to light and evil to good in order to bring about this coming New World Order. Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20 says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." And this is exactly what John Legend made a song about doing. And you know how many Christians love this man and listen to his music? I mean, it's ridiculous. These men are pushing darkness to the world, but calling it light. They believe they are agents of light, though they are truly agents of darkness. And the actual true goal of the world is to be moved into this new world order where Satan is worshipped as God, moving the world into a one world religion. And this is what a new world order truly is about. You can look at it as secular conspiracy about people trying to gain more power, but it is far, far deeper than that. Just like there are true believers in Yah who truly desire his kingdom, there is also the opposite side that are true believers and followers of Satan who believe in bringing about Satan's kingdom on earth. You see, this is all Bible prophecy, and it all has to happen. The real truth in this world are that there are families with satanic bloodlines that Satan gave power to. The same power he tried to tempt Yahushua with in the wilderness. Satan gave them this power in order to implement this agenda. They have and they yield enormous, unimaginable power. People behind the scenes, while they put people like US presidents and Putin and Xi in our faces to play the role as one with power. These families worship Satan as God and are committed to bringing about the devil's dominion. There's a quote I often use from David Rockefeller's book, Memoir, in which he writes on page 405, "For more than a century, Ideological extremists at either end of the political spectrum have seized upon well-publicized incidents, such as my encounter with Castro, to attack the Rockefeller family for the inordinate influence they claim we yield over American political and economic institutions. Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty and I am proud of it. Why would this powerful man be proud of this and not shy away from it? He says he was conspiring against the United States. You see, this goal that the people of today call an unfounded conspiracy, this man writes in his memoir that he is proud of it. Why would he say that? It's because these are his religious goals that he's working towards, and he is proud that he is being part of bringing in the satanic kingdom on earth. He's proud of it. You see, because we as a society are not fully able to understand how people can truly worship Satan, we don't understand our enemy. These satanic people look at believers of Yah as the enemy, but many of the self-proclaimed Christians of today ignore that Satanists even exist. Besides the obvious rocker gothic type, we don't think of a successful businessman, star, singer, or actress, or even a politician could actually be a worshiper and follower of Satan. Many of us can't think of it, which leaves us vulnerable to their plots that they devise in secret. The undeniable truth is that there are followers of Satan in every facet of our society. Most of the people that the public idolize today have sold out to Satan in order to obtain their success. There are many Satanists standing right on the altars in churches, teaching the flocks a new form of righteousness that leads straight to Satan. This is what the New World Order is, and it's not some unfounded conspiracy theory, but a reality that is fast approaching. They are working to collapse the world in order to bring in the new system and their coming savior that will be a major part in bringing about the world's solutions. But in order for him to come, they are going to push the world into chaos and conflict. They are just doing it in a controlled, engineered way that they can control the narrative and lead people to the fountain in which they want them to drink from. There is so much more I can say, but I think you should get the point. If you don't get it, you can watch a ton of my other videos so you can gain more understanding. The point that needs to be understood is that a new world order is coming, and they are not hiding it. They keep alluding to it, and there are so many different references by politicians, entertainers, our movies, our music, for it to be something not understood and just pushed off as an unfounded conspiracy theory. I mean, let's go back to the early 70s, back to John Lennon from the Beatles and his song Imagine, released in 1971. This was John Lennon's signature song and written as a plea for world peace. I mean, look at these lyrics. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living in peace. You must say I'm a dreamer, but I'm the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. And the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. That is a song for the New World Order, and he sung about it in the 1970s, over 50 years ago. Coincidence? Nah, I don't think so. All of those same goals are what we are still working towards right now. For believers to not believe in a New World Order and call it some unfounded conspiracy theory is to also not believe fully in the word of Yah and his prophecy that he tells us not to despise. His word tells us that there will be a beast that will rise and give everyone, rich or small, his mark. We know that the Bible tells us that this will happen, but what many do not do is translated into practical thinking in regards to the world that we actually live in. Bible prophecy is not science fiction as it is promoted today. It is Yah giving us an account of future world history so that we will not be blinded to it. Everything we need to know about this world has been told to us in Scripture. Enough of us do not apply it to our real lives enough. We use our belief in Yahusha as a tradition, which then makes it a religion, which makes the word of Yah of no effect in our lives, which leads a door right in for spirits, principalities, and demons to wreak havoc in our lives, often without us ever being the wiser to it. Listen, to a believer, this should not just be a conspiracy theory, but an expectation of times eventually having to occur. It is not possible for Yah's word to be fulfilled without all of these events happening and coming together. It should not sound crazy to a believer that there are people that work for the devil, desiring unlimited amounts of power, and that control has been given to them by helping their God set himself up as the one to be worshipped by the world. This should be a mere expectation of a believer. And the fact that all of this is happening today, showing so clearly that we are moving towards this new world order, is actually evidence of the truth of our Creator and how awesome and wonderful He is that He has tried to tell us of this thousands of years before it occurred. Now, there's not much more I can speak on in regards to preparing for this that I haven't said in many of these videos. I will say and plead with you not to be led in panic or fear. Set the right expectations and understand what is going on. Prepare to stay inside and not follow the crowd. There is a high probability of losing access to whatever money that you have. I have been warning about the dollar for a long time, so this shouldn't be a surprise to any of you that have been watching these videos. If you believe that your money and these fiat currencies are your source, you will be taken down. Focus on your source of strength and protection, and He will provide for you. Yah is our source, not this money, and not our jobs, and not this system. Walk in conviction and confidence of His authority and control. Be of a sound mind, and do not follow the faithless into darkness. Understand, the only reason we are mentally prepared for this right now is because He has provided us His word thousands of years ago, preparing us for this moment that we're in during these modern times. He has proven His power, and it is your decision whether you believe and trust in Him, or if you will let those that deny His power lead you to fear and panic. Do not follow everyone if things get crazy fast. There have been people that have been ignoring all of this for years. They're not mentally prepared for it, so they will panic. You cannot follow these people. Be prepared for problems. Matter of fact, expect them now, and you won't be caught off guard as things escalate. Now, if you can't handle things mentally and lack discernment, turn off the news and just focus on Yah. If you feel you're not ready and need more advice, please watch my other preparation videos, and they may be able to provide you more guidance. But your only answer and solution is Yah. So focus on Him, and He will lead and keep you and your family in safety. Believe that. It's important that you wake up and make sure you are not being led and steered by darkness. You must worship our Father in heaven in spirit and in truth, and reject the lies and the blasphemy. Yes, the world is moving towards a new world order, and it should be something that the world who does not trust in Yah should fear. But if you're a believer, there is no reason for fear, but to live in joy and expectation of the promises Yah has for us, for our patience, and for us enduring. You must know Yahusha and believe in Him, and He is our only way to our Father in heaven. Understand what is happening in this world is all about rebellion against Yah, and you must walk in full power and discernment and redeem these days for Yah. You now know what a new world order is and what it is truly about. It's time for you to truly make a decision for what you are living towards. As you can see, this new world order is coming regardless if you want it to come or not. Your only line of defense against it is Yah. So put down your idols and the things you have placed in priority over Yah. None of them matter. It is time for you to do the only thing that matters. That is believe in Yahusha and make him master and savior of your life. It is time that you repent, for the kingdom of heaven is truly at hand. Make sure you're ready for it. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please make sure to like this and share it with others. If you have not already done so, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Elohim willing, I upload every Friday. Please don't forget